Okay, welcome everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started today with the Study Abroad in Spain and Latin America presentation. I am Danielle Samik, and I'm the Interim Associate Director for Travel Study. And with me, I have my colleague Danilo Bonilla, who is the advisor for Spain and Latin American programs within our office, among other locations around the world. And we also have Juan Espinosa joining us from the Department of Spanish and Portuguese. So the three of us are going to be speaking today about your options for study abroad if you're interested in going to either Spain or Latin America. So welcome to all of you. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us here. So who are we? So Danilo and I represent the International Education Office, which is the study abroad office on campus. We have quite a number of programs available through our office. We all advise and work with students who are going on these various program opportunities. And this is our first inaugural Global Learning Opportunities Week, which we are doing for the first time live. And I would definitely encourage you, if you haven't yet, to check out the different session opportunities. There's already a lot of really great pre-recorded webinars popping up on our on-demand section of the website, and we'll continue having presentations throughout the rest of this week. It's a really cool opportunity for you to learn everything you need to know about study abroad, all in one fell swoop. So we're here, we're ready to answer your questions, and we're excited to talk to you about what's happening next with study abroad. So in this presentation, it's a 30-minute presentation, and we just did the welcome. I'm going to speak to you a little bit about COVID-19. I'm sure that's on everyone's minds. And then I'm going to turn it over to Danilo, who will talk about some study abroad refreshers. And then we're going to jump into some sample program options from throughout the different types of study abroad you can do as a UCLA student. And then we'll also have our colleague Juan speaking from the Spanish and Portuguese department to talk a little bit about how can you satisfy requirements if you're a Spanish major minor, Portuguese major minor, or if you're just interested in fulfilling the foreign language requirement. And then finally, we'll say some Q&A, save some time for Q&A at the end here. So study abroad in COVID-19, I definitely know that's a hot topic for everyone. And in a nutshell, we are expecting that programs will be able to run for next summer, 2021, as the first term abroad, hopefully. So I represent travel study, and I can tell you that we're continuously monitoring health and safety alerts. We're looking very closely at in-country updates. We're watching the CDC's recommendations, everything that's coming from the US State Department. We'll be monitoring it closely and working with any other sources of information about travel, safety, and what we might need to do for precautions so that you can hopefully travel. At this point, I know things are looking a little less optimistic in certain parts of the world, but I think that by next summer, some parts, if not many countries, will be able to accept travel again. So we just want to be ready and prepared so that you have these opportunities and we don't miss out on any more time. The IEO is very sensitive to student timelines, so we know people are definitely making plans about credit and summer internships and all kinds of experiences in advance. So we do want to let you know that we will make decisions about the travel aspect of your program, hopefully by late winter or early spring. So if you registered in a program, say through Travel Study now in November, then we'll let you know whether or not your travel is going to be approved to go, hopefully by late winter quarter. In the event that some programs are not able to travel, we'll try to be as flexible with you as we can and allow you to either change to a different option, or some programs like the Global Internship Program and Travel Study, and I believe some UCEAP programs are creating virtual backup alternatives. So just in case we're not able to travel, we're hoping to still be able to offer you the credit and some additional experiences. Might not be exactly the same as going to Spain, for instance, but it'll still give you a chance to connect with the culture and to learn about the place you want to travel someday. So hopefully we'll have really great opportunities and enriching experiences for you one way or another. We definitely want to thank you again for your patience and flexibility. I know a lot of you are really eager to go abroad, so we're working diligently to try to make that happen. One huge piece of housekeeping for you personally, if you have a passport and it's set to expire, because there's some significant delays with passport processing, I would highly recommend you go ahead and renew your passport if you can as soon as possible. And if you don't have one, I would definitely not put off starting that application process. We're seeing 3-4+ months for passports to actually be renewed compared to the past. So Definitely would encourage you to get on that as soon as possible. And keep in mind, too, if your passport is set to expire within 6 months after your travel return date to the United States, you should also go ahead and renew. Some countries require that. Okay, so now I'm going to pass it off to my colleague Danilo, and he's going to give us some study abroad refreshers.
Hello, everybody. So we're going to talk about really quickly the Study Abroad 101 refreshers. So let me click to the next slide. So as you know, all of this week we have many webinars. Hopefully yesterday you attended a special seminar called Study Abroad 101. If you missed it, that's okay. You can go to our website, the UCLA International Education website, /glow, and you can see it there. Basically, during the webinar yesterday, we covered programs and details, credit transfer to UCLA, cost and funding, application deadlines, and timelines. And what's going to be covered in this session here is very specific information about Spain and Latin America, specific countries, cities, and universities. And at the end, we will have the question and answer session. Okay, so there are many types of programs, and really quickly as a refresher, we have the traditional university immersion program where you study with local professors, local universities, and with your UC peers, and that happens year-round, summer, fall, winter, and spring. The other type of program that we have is the UCLA faculty-led program, and those programs are basically experiential programs on the go, travel study, with UCLA professors over the summer. The other type of program that's very interesting, it's a new program. It's basically internships abroad or research abroad, and you actually get academic credit for that. The other type of program is a cohort program where you study abroad with a cohort of local students and host university students, UC students, and you go abroad for the first session, summer session A, and then you come back for summer session B, summer session C, sorry. The other type of program that we have is UC Center, University of California Centers Abroad, and these are specifically courses abroad exclusively for UC students, Berkeley, San Diego, Santa Barbara. Financial aid. So can I use my financial aid on study abroad? Yes, you can. Eligible students are eligible to apply for financial aid, and this will cover the cost of UC affiliated programs. Please be aware that it is a combination of growth of loans, grants, and scholarships. There is some limited for summer programs regarding grants and scholarships, so please keep an eye on that. And as long as you have 8 units minimum of enrollment, that's what you need to have full financial aid. Again, combination of grants, scholarships, and loans. And the last thing is just make sure that you apply for FAFSA, the DREAM Act priority deadline, which is March 2nd every year. Okay, when can I apply? You can apply as early as 9 months before going, or as late as 4 months. Hopefully sooner the sooner the better. Please keep in mind that there are many programs and there are varying deadlines, November, December, January, February. So start early, highly advisable, start early. So are these programs competitive? Generally, no. Most programs are on a first come, first serve basis, but do keep in mind that some UCAP and travel study programs do have limited space, so please go ahead and apply soon. Can I register now? Yes, for the vast majority of programs, you can register now. If you're interested in summer or fall, yes, you can start now. Some of the deadlines are coming up in December, January, February. And if you're interested in winter or spring of 2022, you have to wait until this coming January 1st, 2021 to apply. Can I study outside of your major? Yes. So basically, you're not obligated to study within your major. Once you're abroad, take advantage of taking classes for your foreign language requirement, upper division units, tech breadth requirements, or if you want to go abroad, just to take upper division courses for professional or personal development. The good thing is that once you are abroad, you're still making progress towards your degree. You're getting either direct credit or transfer credit to your UCLA diploma, your UCLA record. And just keep in mind that most programs are not designed around a major. But again, this is a great start. You can kind of search by region. Again, we'll tell you a little bit more about the cities, universities, in countries in Spain and Latin America.
Okay, so I'm going to take it back over for UCLA Travel Study. So Travel Study are 3 to 5 week summer programs that are with UCLA faculty. So your faculty are going with you abroad and teaching UCLA courses as if they were still on campus, but in a different location, and usually with a theme that ties to the specific place where you're traveling. So if it's a Spanish language immersion course, it will have more information than a standard on campus course about Spain or Merida, Mexico, wherever you might actually be. For Travel Study, registration is opening soon on November 18th at 7 a.m. So I'm going to highlight 2 of our Travel Study programs for you. I think they're 2 that are really amazing opportunities. Sometimes they're a little overlooked. So the Merida program in Mexico is a 4-week summer program where you earn 8 units on 1 of 3 Spanish language tracks. So you're able to choose from the 3 different tracks listed here: Spanish 2A plus 3A, Spanish 4 and 5, or Spanish 150 and 170. So you would be able to decide which one based on your previous Spanish. If you have at least 1 year of high school Spanish, then you're able to start with Spanish 2A, 3A, and then so on. For the advanced tracks, the courses focus on Mexico specifically, so they're tailored to the location where you are. And those are usually small class sizes. You're working with a professor from UCLA. And then for the lower, the elementary and intermediate tracks, you have a teaching assistant from UCLA as well, who's with you and teaching those lower division courses. So it's a really good option if you're looking to fulfill your foreign language requirement. I know a lot of people have been to Mexico, maybe on vacation, or you have, you're a heritage speaker and you have family ties there. I've heard from a lot of different returnees, and Juan can maybe speak to this later since he did the program, that this program is actually really immersive and you get a very interesting look at the culture and the country in a way you wouldn't if you're just going for vacation or traveling with your family. So I would definitely encourage you to look at it. One thing for note, the Spanish 2A and 3A track is also available on our Spanish Granada program, which we have 2 sessions, one in June and one in August. But since the Granada program track is very competitive for space, it usually fills up the same day we open registration. I would definitely encourage you to think about this one. It's worth more than just being a backup program, but I would say if you're really interested in 2A, 3A, keep that in mind. You have 3 options for programs where you can fulfill the foreign language requirement in Spanish. Another travel study program I'd like to highlight is in Buenos Aires. So this is the Taking It to the Streets, Community Service, Human Rights, and Tango program. For this one, the courses are also taught in Spanish, but here you have only 2 courses and everyone takes them. So it's a 4-week program based in Buenos Aires, which is really beautiful city, lots of museums, great architecture, reminds me of Paris. Also, anecdotally, the best pizza I've ever had in the world was in Buenos Aires. So if you're a fan of Italian food, they have some really amazing options there. The coursework for the first class here, the 165 SL, is actually service learning based. So for this program, you do a lot of community service. You get to identify some options that are interesting to you, if it's working with children or an NGO, and then the on-site coordinator ties you to a local organization that matches your specific interests as best as possible. So for this one, you're doing upper division Spanish credit, but you do get a really good cultural experience, lots of hands-on activities. Hopefully you'll pick up a little tango throughout the course of the program. And so it's a good way to satisfy upper division, or if you're just looking for, more Spanish immersion and you want to reinforce the skills you've been learning on campus at UCLA, this can be a really cool option for you to be able to do that. I'm going to change hats here and represent my colleagues, Andrew Bottom's program, which is a newer option for UCLA. So we have a global internship program, and it's in partnership with specific schools so far on campus. But the programs I'm going to highlight today do have some availability. You don't necessarily have to be in the major that's represented. So for these programs, you would be interning abroad and receiving academic credit. Andrew's programs will be opening really soon. So it opens November 2nd at noon. So the global affairs and public affairs disciplines, they have partnered with us to build internships. And one of the locations that's relevant for our discussion today is in either Bogota or Medellin, Colombia. So these programs are actually longer than travel study. It's 8 weeks on site. And you're required to enroll in at least one course, but we recommend that students take both course options if they're looking to receive financial aid. You do need to have, the 8 units minimum to be eligible. So if you're a student in global affairs, you would enroll in the International Studies 195 CE. And then if you're a public affairs student, you would enroll in the public affairs version of that. If you're not in one of those disciplines, you can work with Andrew to determine which course it would be that you would enroll in. And then the optional course is intercultural communication in the global workspace. And that's the one we would recommend you also take if you're looking to receive financial aid for the program. For these programs, it's worth noting if you're a public affairs student that it fulfills your capstone requirement. So that's one benefit for those students. And the other classes, it could work for elective, major, minor credit. If you're not in either of these disciplines, it could be just upper division hours towards graduation, on top of a really, really nice way to earn, the internship experience. Keep in mind that internships, because they're for credit, we're not able to give you, you're not able to receive payment for them. So it's an unpaid internship. But the process is great because it helps you actually identify the internship. You don't have to find it yourself. And then you have a lot of assistance with the housing component, cultural immersion. They give you tips and tricks on how to work in Colombia. So lots of really cool opportunities for internships abroad as well. And as I noted before, for Andrew's programs, the Global Internship Program, there will be virtual backups. One difference between travel study and global internships, you can actually go ahead and enroll straight into the virtual option. If you know you don't feel comfortable traveling next summer, you can choose right away to just go ahead and do it virtually from the beginning. If you're thinking you might want to start virtual, it's a little more difficult to switch to in-person. But if you want to start with the in-person and see how things are going, it's possible you may be able to revert to a virtual. And of course, if travel is not permitted to Colombia next summer, everyone will be asked to switch to a virtual internship instead. I know we had one question about virtual programs, and we'll address that for sure at the end. We definitely saw it. Okay, so now I'm going to pass it back to Danilo, and he's going to discuss the UCLA Global Cities Program.
So the Global Cities Program is a two-part program. Basically, you study abroad during UCLA Summer Session A, and then you come back to UCLA to do Summer Session C. The registration will be opening pretty soon, next month, on November 18th at 7 a.m. Okay, one program that I would like to highlight is in Spain, in Barcelona, University of Pompeu Fabra. This is a great program. We have upper division courses, political science, business, econ. Each course is usually worth 4 or 5 units, and courses are offered in English. And if you do have higher enough Spanish, you can actually take classes in Spanish. And this is basically satisfies GE requirements, language, a little bit of everything, and it is transfer credit. And again, it is a cohort program, so there's a special social cultural events that are done with the cohort of Spanish and UCLA students, either here and abroad. Okay, let's move on really quickly to the UC-EAP programs. So these are available for summer, fall, winter, spring, or the year-long program. It's a UC-wide program. The registration has opened up already. The deadlines are coming up in December, January, February, specifically for summer and fall options. For winter and spring, that comes later, January 1st of 2021. Next slide, please. Okay, one program that I want to highlight is Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. You can go for fall semester or spring semester. Courses are taught in English, and you get to actually interact with Brazilian students. And you have the areas of study as business, economics, history, international relations, and sociology. Last year, I got to visit this program, the students, the housing, and it's an excellent option. And next slide, please. Okay, perfect. And then the last one that I want to mention is, again, Spain, Madrid, the University of Carlos III. A couple of years ago, UC-EAP also sent me there to check out the program, housing specific courses, staff, this and that. And the nice thing about this program is that courses are also taught in English, and you have the opportunity to be immersed and integrated with local students. Most of the students that go to Carlos III are Spanish students, and some of the areas of study are social sciences, humanities, and engineering. One thing is make sure that you apply for this program right away because there is limited space. And again, this is just a couple of thousands and dozens of other options across the board.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Juan Espinosa here with the UCLA Department of Spanish and Portuguese. I'm the undergraduate advisor for the department. And so in the scavenger hunt of today, so we have cenote. Cenotes are surface connections of subterranean water bodies, while the best known cenotes are large open water pools measuring tens of meters in diameter, such as those in Chichen Itza and Mexico. So if you actually end up joining the Mérida Yucatan Mexico program, they will take you to one of these subterranean water bodies. As you follow the survey after attending this event, you can input the scavenger hunt word of the day cenote for the opportunity to win a gift card. Great. So UCLA Department of Spanish and Portuguese, and I'm Juan. Thank you for joining us today. So for our programs, in our department, we house several programs. We have the Barcelona, Buenos Aires, Granada 1 and 2 in Mérida program. These are the programs that our department offers. And for all of our programs, you're able to earn upper division or lower division requirements, as well as fulfilling the foreign language requirement. If you're a major or a minor in the department, you're also able to complete major and minor requirements by going on our programs. And I'm also lucky enough to be a returnee of one of these programs. I did the Mérida Mexico program when I was an undergraduate student at UCLA. Interesting question, why did I choose to participate in this program? Definitely because I wanted to get to know a city and another place in the world other than being a tourist. It's easy to be a tourist in a place and just go and take pictures of the pretty buildings, but it's even more interesting and it's even more enriching when you know why you're there, when you're studying the history of these places, when you're immersed in the culture, when you're talking to these people in these cities and learning about their history and how they got to where they are today and things that they're looking forward to in the future. Any advice of students exploring their options? Definitely go for a place where you've always dreamed of going, a place that you've never been in your life, a place that you sometimes look at pictures online that you really want to visit. Make that dream come true. There's nothing like traveling as a student, because like I said, you're able to really get to know the places where you are visiting as a study abroad student. And it's a very enriching life experience.
Okay, thank you, Juan. If you have any questions for Juan, feel free to submit them. We're not going to have time for many because this is a short presentation, but we can go ahead and take a couple of those now. Okay, so one question. If summer 2021 programs turn virtual, does that mean students do not get to travel to that specific location, or will students do the virtual program at home? So I'll start with that piece of it. Yes. So unfortunately, we know that the reality of COVID-19 is that it's unpredictable. Some countries have closed their borders to US citizens at this point, and it's hard for us to know so far in advance whether or not you're for sure going to be able to go to Spain or Colombia or any of these wonderful places. So our goal is to create a virtual backup that will give you as much of a taste of being in that place as possible. So we're thinking things like maybe virtual dance lessons, cooking courses, movie screenings, hopefully some ability to connect with locals, additional guest lectures, possibly walking tours, video walking tours of certain locations. So we're still in the development phase of that, and we expect to be able to give you a lot more information about what that might look like. But we're partnering with people who are currently abroad all over the world to try to create these experiences for you. And of course, they'll definitely be in collaboration with your faculty for like the travel study programs. So even though it maybe can't replace being specifically in Spain or Barcelona, our goal is that it would serve as a lot of preparation so that someday you're able to go on your own and travel there, and that you've still gotten a really enriching experience, and you can count on that credit. So we're not going to cancel the program per se. The credit would just pivot from being in person to a virtual experience you can do anywhere. If students do not wish to do the virtual program, could you reapply for 2022? Sure, yeah. If you're not graduating, you're not on a time crunch, you could certainly decide to decline to participate and switch to going instead in a different year. One thing of note, travel study programs, they may change from year to year, so we can't 100% guarantee or roll over your enrollment to a future year. You would have to reapply just in case that program may not be offered. For the internship students in Colombia, are students expected to work as intern and take classes at the same time? So yes, you're taking courses, you're working on projects and things at the same time that you're doing your internship. I don't know off the top of my head if it's a certain number of hours per week, but I do believe it's not, necessarily full-time. You're balancing the two, and then you're also there for a longer period of time. So some of the projects and things you're doing online while you're working. I would recommend for the student who asked that question, if you contact Andrew Bottom or watch his presentation. He had a presentation earlier today about global internships. We have about 3 more minutes, just as a heads up. Does it cost more for students to study abroad if they are out of state? I'm actually going to ask if Danilo might be able to share some notes on that, since for travel study, it does not matter. It's the same price, the program fee, if you're in state or out of state, but it does matter to UCEAP.
So the good news is that it does not matter if you're interested in a UCAP summer program. There is no additional out-of-state fee. If you are going for fall, winter, spring, you still have to pay the out-of-state fee.
Thank you. I'm going to advance the slide here just to give you a second to be able to join our newsletter. Let's see if there's any other questions coming in. Okay. So if you want to scan this QR code, you can, join our email newsletter later. If you're not able to, if you're watching the video on your phone and you can't do so, then the link actually will be on the contact us page of our GLOW website. And here's contact information for the study abroad office for Danilo or I. Plug here for the drop-in advising that will continue throughout fall quarter. So if you have questions later on, or you have something specific you want to set up one-on-one advising to learn more about Granada or something, feel free to do that. Just checking to see if there's any other questions here. Looks like nothing yet. And then finally, I'm going to give you the contact information for Juan. So if you do have questions about his experiences in Merida, you want to learn more from him, or if you have some advising questions, here's his email address. You can get in touch with him there. Okay, we have one more question coming in right at the wire here. Let me see. Can students study abroad and do the McNair program? I'm not sure if Danilo knows more about McNair than I do. I believe so, but I'm not positive. That might be a good one for us to discuss offline if you want to send us an email, unless Danilo knows more about McNair.
Yes, go ahead and send us an email, and then we can do a one-on-one Zoom meeting. Thanks.
Okay, I think that's all that we have time for today. So thank you all very much for joining us. And we appreciate the input and the questions. Feel free to connect with us later if you have additional things. At this point, I'm going to stop the recording, and we'll end the webinar here. Thank you very much.